Hello, there was a murder case in 1985 that rocked the small town of Niantic, Connecticut. While the husband is on vacation, the wife was 5 months pregnant, killed without a piece of clothing, in the bedroom of the couple. The killer carefully devised a meticulous plan to distract the French doctor's investigation, and the police. After years of investigation, police have not been able to identify the killer, although Dr. Ngok's bone medicine participate in the investigation process. But the case is still at a standstill. It seems like the perpetrators will never be brought to light. Then an important clue came along that saved the case. But the truth makes people cold. So what happened at the time, after all? Who has touched a pregnant woman? Next, we're going to go back in time to 1985 to examine the facts of the case. Niantic is a small town. It's in the southernmost part of Connecticut. It's about a 2.5-hour drive from New York. According to the US Census, 2000 is not 10. The population here is about 3,114. People's lives here are very comfortable because of its proximity to the Atlantic. Local groups usually gather in groups of 3 to 5 people to go to the beach on weekends. And today's story takes place here. The main character of the story is Ellen Sermon, a mother who is 5 months pregnant. She has short, silky black hair. She's very approachable, friendly, and get along with everyone. Her husband is Edward Salmon. It's a smart man. He's a professor at a college, the local community, and have a decent income. You're also a member of Mensa, the world's leading IQ club. They also run an advertising photography company. They are considered a family, relatively rich in the area. The 8th of February 1985, it was Friday. Husband, Edward, went on a cruise with 4 friends. The next day, Edward remembered his family's yacht. It's parked in the harbor. I forgot to turn off the power, so I called home and asked my wife to check it out. But there's no air at home. By August 4th, Edward was worried. I couldn't contact my wife for 2 days. Then that day I called a neighbor named Joe No-Sitter, and thanks. You can come over and help me see where my wife is. Because I called her so many times that I couldn't. However, Joe's neighbor is busy, not at home. So the husband, he called his wife's colleague for help. Edward called Ryan Fredrickson. He came to his house to check on Ellen. Ryan and Elon have a great relationship. The last time they saw each other was 4 days ago. Ryan recalled that. On that last meeting, I saw that Ellen's eyes were red and swollen. She was clearly crying for something. For a long time. So after getting the call, I went to Ellen's house to find out. When we get to the front door, I see the lights in the house are still on. The outside air conditioner is still working. I think someone must be home. I went to the front door to push the door in. But the door is locked. It's very unusual, because Ellen's house almost never locks the front door. Ryan joked to Elton that the house wasn't locked. Be careful losing everything. I feel like something is wrong. I hurriedly rang the bell, but still no one answered. I'm starting to get a little nervous inside. And then Ryan walked around the house. I looked out the window to see if Elon was home. But the living room curtains are closed. It's completely invisible inside. The more Ryan feels unwell. So I broke into the house through a hallway window. After getting inside, the dog in the house doesn't stop barking. Ryan continued through the hallway and the kitchen. I found a lot of dog shit on the floor. I don't think anyone's cleaned up in days. Ryan had a bad feeling at the time. I didn't see Elton on the first floor, so I decided to take the stairs in the middle of the house to the second floor and knocked on the master bedroom door, but there's no feedback. Then you push the door. Suddenly there was a cold wind, with a smell on your face. When the strange feeling is over, I've been seen in bed. It makes you dizzy. In front of you is Elton wearing nothing, lying motionless in bed. You've turned into a cold corpse. Because it's so shocking, I ran outside the house and called the police. The 8th of April 1985, after receiving the report, The police quickly sent someone to the scene. The case occurred in Connecticut, and Dr. Ngok is also planning. It's just an hour's drive from the crime scene. He was also invited to investigate the case. There are the following clues at the scene. Clue 1 shows no sign of breaking into the house. The police carefully inspected Ellen's house, except for the window your friend tried to open to get into the house. The doors are in and the other windows are intact. There's no trace of a break-in. That suggests the unsub may have been an acquaintance. Elon took the initiative to open the door and let the killer in. Or he's doing work like fixing pipes, air conditioning and so on and use that excuse to get into the house. Clue 2: Elon does not wear clothes. Elton lay in bed with a big belly. No clothes. There are 3 red marks on the neck. 2 of them are very deep. And there are beads on Elton's neck. Lay trash on the floor. By the bed, I also found a pair of blue panties that were torn. After checking, they confirmed it was Ellen's. There's also a bra and a pair of white panties. There's no sign of a fight at the scene. Except for the strangulation on Ellen's neck, there were no other wounds on the body. The police couldn't find the stranger's fingerprints. In the whole house, the layout and furniture in the room are also intact. There are no objects. Any value or money in the house is lost. So the police ruled out the possibility that she was killed for money. 14 piece has many stains on ga-combed bed. The doctor discovered it. On ga-combed bed there are many sperm stains, saliva and other stains. Some sperm stains have been wiped clean. Maybe they're left on the ga-combing bed. DNA technology wasn't advanced enough for a long time to identify those stains as belonging to the AI. 5 weapons of mass destruction. Kun string of blue panties, found at the scene. Traces on the victim's belt. It's very consistent with the marks on the neck. They both have Z-shaped jagged edges. After the test, people identified those panties are the murder weapon. It was used by the unsub as a rope to strangle Elton. Clue 6: skin spots still shoved. Some pieces of human skin. It was also found in Ellen's fingernails. Other than that, there are no valid clues found at the scene. The police know that Ellen and Edward have no criminal records, money in the local area, just as there are no enemies. So we can basically rule out the possibility of them getting revenge. Based on the circumstances at the scene, the police initially speculated the killer's motive was to kill for love. They speculated that most likely after Edward's travels, Elon invited his lover home. Their fun is too much. So there was an incident and she was accidentally strangled to death. Finally her lover for being too afraid. So I ran away in a hurry. Although the above speculation also has some loopholes, but what scares the police? I can't find a stranger's fingerprints. School after the incident. All traces have been erased by the secret lover, or that lover never showed up. There are no witnesses or physical evidence, and the evidence is very limited. That should lead to a police investigation. It's become very difficult. But according to professional experience, in case there is no such clue, the police will start investigating from the person closest to the victim. After Ellen's body was discovered, the police have notified her husband Edward, but he's still enjoying his vacation. Fun at the sea. The police then asked them to drive the yacht, go to the nearest Coast Guard. After a short interview, Edward's 4 friends were quickly released. What about him? He was arrested by the police for questioning. During the interrogation, the investigators asked him that, "Where did your wife's nails come from?" Edward replied that, "The other day my wife scratched my back. Maybe since that time." The special thing is, the police had not mentioned it before. Those pieces of skin belonged to AI. To be more precise, the police have not been able to identify the owner of the pieces, so Edward's answer seemed to be an answer. Not yet confessed. And he's got 2 deep scratches on his wrist. That's it. It's already made people suspect him. According to the testimony of 4 friends who went to the beach with Edward that day, as the neighbors' accounts are clear, he's got something soulless. A neighbor named Charles told me. It was about 7 p.m. on August 2nd, walking with family. I met Edward, who was going on vacation. Edward suddenly stopped the car and talked to us for a while. Nothing like that has happened in years. I've never seen. Edward was so enthusiastic and proactive. I was the first to say hello. And he just nonchalantly replied, yes. So his enthusiasm at the time was very strange. Bill Albright. A friend went out with Edward. When we went to the beach that day, it's very hot. Everyone wears short-sleeve t-shirts and other cool thigh clothes. But only Edward wear tight clothes with long sleeves and trousers. In addition to our original intention is to leave the house at 22 o'clock on August 2nd, but Edward kept urging us to leave earlier. Finally, at his urging request, the travel time has been rescheduled to 7:30 p.m. It was about 20 p.m. that day. Edward came to my house to pick me up. My wife was on the phone with my mother. Standing next to me is Jamie's 8-year-old daughter. Jamie also wants to call his classmates to chat, and she's been waiting. I've been using that phone for a long time. Edward did not notice. He insisted on borrowing his phone right away. He said that something very important is happening. I want to call home for my wife. I thought something serious had happened. But the result, the content of his conversation was as follows. Baby, if you need anything, go to the neighbor for help. I'm about to leave. Goodbye, baby. I love you too. Even after Edward went to sea, he often calls home for his wife to show affection. Listen to here. You might think Edward's fine. At least I care about my wife, but is that really the case? The neighbors said, Ellen's 5 months pregnant, though. The relationship between the two men is very unstable. Edward is a very generous digger. It can even be described as promiscuous. He's got a lot of outside connections. Sometimes they even bring their lovers home openly. It's worth talking about is that he also has some strange, seemingly projective habits, like joining a dating club, wife exchange club, and so on. Elon knows that too, so it happens all the time. But even so, that problem has never been solved either. Instead, Edward crossed the line. He also has a daughter with his ex. They've been in a dubious relationship for a long time. She is a legal wife. Of course, I can't stand that behavior of my husband. She went to Nancy several times to negotiate, but there's no result. So, Elon thought of a way to have another child. Tugging husband. You finally convinced your husband, and successfully pregnant again, but Elon is still naive. A man with such a nature. Maybe it's because of a child. Elon is pregnant. Edward went even further than before. He feels tired. I have to spend time with my ex and my wife. Every day, time passes not only unbearable times, but even his ex couldn't accept it. Ellen hoped Edward would calm down. Come back to you and your children, live a happy and joyful life. You will forgive everything, and not looking at what's happened. And Nancy's lover. He even forced Edward to divorce his wife and marry her so they can raise their kids together. If he refuses, you'll break off the relationship. Most of the assets in the family include the house, the company, and 2 cars are owned by Ellen. If I break up with you, Edward almost going white hand a one-coin translation bag. After weighing the pros and cons, Edward decided to return to his wife and agree to break up with her lover. At the same time, he's willing to pay some money to provide children for lovers. Elon is very excited right now. You think that? I finally won the first 3. But her nightmare didn't end there. According to Ellen's neighbors, Edward still regularly assaulted his wife. Just 2 months before it happened on Father's Day. A violent sigh rush. There was an explosion between Ellen and Edward. It makes the house a mess. Ellen's face and body, full of bruises from being beaten. In fact, Edward not only attacked his wife but also his lover. One of his lovers later told the police that, as long as I disagree with Edward, he's going to attack me. After the Father's Day fight, The relationship between Elon and Edward broke down. A short time later, the relationship between the two of you has softened, but it didn't last long. Pregnant wife must abstain a lot. Edward couldn't stand the loneliness and feel a lack of affection, so he secretly went to his lover's house to spend the night. Elton knew that it had completely collapsed. According to Elton's best friend, "You have revealed your true feelings. I was completely impatient with Edward. I want to divorce him. I'll never deliver the company, house or children for him. I just want him to clean up, get your stuff and leave the house." Before Edward went on holiday at sea, the relationship between the two seems to have softened a bit, but maybe it's just an illusion, based on the clues the police had. Although it's not clear it's how. Edward has a series of unusual phenomena. An affair between you and your wife is certain. It could be a motive. However, through the newspaper autopsy report of Ellen's victim, the police removed the suspicion against Edward. Catherine Gavin, former medical director of Connecticut, performed an autopsy on Ellen Cho. The autopsy results showed the time of her death is from the evening of August 2nd to 7th a.m. on August 4th. Edward was out with 4 friends at the time, and he has the perfect alibi. Conclusion on. It's got the police handling the case and the physiology very confused. Just like that, the clues about Edward were severed. The police did not relax the investigation. The truth of the case. And then there's no important clue. And the investigation came to a standstill. Finally, Edward inherited the property jointly between the couple, with a total value of $173,000 United States dollars, about 4.2 billion VND at current prices. At the same time, he also received a $76,500 death benefit, about 1.8 billion at current prices, from his wife's life insurance policy. After negotiation, Edward gave 15,000 United States dollars, about 364 million G as living expenses, and pay that money to Ellen's old mother. Before the tragic death of his wife, Edward didn't seem too upset. Shortly after his wife died, he moved in with his ex Nancy. 2 people bought 2 houses in Osbrook and live a very luxurious life, while Edward was living a comfortable life. The police have not stopped investigating. The secret investigation lasted for 2 years. During that time, 10 witnesses were called. And finally a witness has provided an important clue. Anita Simon, the daughter of one of your 4 friends. Edward told the police that the 8th of February 1985 Uncle Edward came to my store and talked to me about old movies. I finally showed him a new movie. The Black Cow was released at the time. When I told you I hadn't seen this movie, Uncle Edward told me the story of the movie. It's about main character. He murdered his wife and children one night, then turned on the air conditioner at maximum and shut it down to delay the body's breakdown. When the police heard the above, they seemed to immediately guess. Maybe Edward did this to his wife. After the crime, the police later interviewed again. Ryan was the first to enter the crime scene. He told me that day when he opened the door, a cold stream of air came straight into my face. Indeed, I think the air conditioning was turned on at maximum. When I found out Alton wasn't breathing, I rushed out, called the police and forget to close the door. So when the police and Dr. Lee arrived at the scene, the indoor temperature is almost the same as the outdoor temperature. The details above have not been paid attention to by I before. After knowing this, medical examiner, Catherine, I checked and calculated the time. The next time he died. The doctor combined the undigested pasta and snail meat in Ellen's stomach to conclude that, from the time Ellen ate until she died, not more than 5 hours. According to Ellen's colleagues, you had lunch with them at around 11:32. They ordered pasta and snail meat. Finally, after 7 months of research, Dr. Catherine fixed the moment Ellen died. It's from 7 a.m. on August 1st until 7 a.m. 3/8. Information on. It's definitely a new breakthrough for the police, because at that point Edward had enough time to commit a crime. He went to the beach with his friends at 7:30 p.m. Police speculated maybe after rape with wife. Edward cleaned the scene and turned on the air conditioner to the maximum in the room, then quickly leave the house. This also explained for all abnormal behavior. Then his, like starting a conversation with a neighbor, urge your team to leave as soon as possible, and constantly calling his wife while on vacation at sea. It's about creating illusions for people. The existence of the wife. At the same time, create the perfect alibi for yourself. Edward thought everything would happen as my plan had calculated in my mind. I didn't expect a few words at the time, and her accidental moment. It made everything clear. 5 years later, in the 20th of March 1990, the police decided to arrest Edward, based on the clues they had. However, during the subsequent investigation, another clue came up. A detail before Edward travels. He went to a friend's house and deliberately made a call home to his wife. He was calling home for his wife. I don't care about the feelings of my family. Bill was waiting to use the phone earlier. When he called back, he just told his wife something normal. To show affection over the phone. Why was he in such a hurry to call? Logically speaking, if his wife was still alive, he will surely be innocent. The case will be investigated in another direction. The result is another stalemate. The case has caused a stir in local opinion. For many years, Edward was arrested by the police. Many media outlets have reported on the incident and the story. Suddenly, it's become a familiar name in the newspapers. And the emergence of the name Jamie Olbray has taken the case to a spectacular turn. Jamie is the daughter of a friend named Bill, waiting for a phone call that year, when Edward was anxious to call home for his wife. And little Jamie, who was waiting a long time ago, has been intrudingly stepped on by Edward Chen. You were only 8 years old. She was so angry that she ran to the next room. Curious little girl catches the phone and eavesdrops. See what he's going to say on the phone. You can see what she heard as a result. She didn't hear anything. According to the testimony of my head, there is a beeping sound on the phone. The call is not connected at all. Or in other words, Edward's doing a monologue. It can therefore be inferred that Edward regularly calls home for his wife. To show affection is to pretend through the eyes of others. After the police got the information, they feel the muscle. They finally understand. Edward falsified his alibi. How did the VI come about? And Edward, who has a very high IQ. They can't escape punishment either. Of the law. June 1990, court begins trial on Edward's murder of his wife. All of the evidence is evidence of the past, so his conviction was successful. It's not an easy thing to do. At that time, the importance of the doctor of physics has come to the forefront. The doctor has reconstructed all the details, pictures of the crime scene. At the same time, connect all the evidence paste to deduce the whole process. Edward murdered his wife. He first strangled Ellen with both hands. When you're lying down in bed. In the process, Ellen fought back and scratched Edward's wrist with his finger. To create the illusion of being violated, he tore his wife's panties and wrapped cones rope around his wife to make a deep dent. Then he threw his wife's panties next to the bed. Turn on the air conditioner that regulates the temperature to the lowest level to delay the time of death and create alibi to escape. As soon as possible, he kept urging his friends to leave. As soon as possible. Then, he actively talked to the neighbor at the door and pretended chatting on the phone with his wife at friend Bill's house. Finally, he was worried about his wife when he went to the beach. A few days later, he pretended call a friend to check on you. The wife's situation. Dr. Lee, I spent 6 hours proving all of the above before the judge and jury. At the same time, the police also obtained 10 testimonies from 10 witnesses. Verify the doctor's reasoning is correct. All of the indirect evidence is linked together to form a chain of evidence. Activity. The case officially went to trial in the 11th of April 1991. After a 7-week trial, all the jurors finally agreed that Edward committed first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 55 years in prison. When Edward was convicted, Ellen had been dead for 6 years. Ellen's austere old mother. There's a lot of mixed emotions. You really can't accept the fact that your son-in-law killed your daughter. The only thing that makes you feel good. Justice has been done. And the killer was punished by the law. After Edward was convicted, he continues to deny all his sins. He died of a heart attack in prison, in the 3rd year of his sentence. In fact, in that year's condition, the whole investigation was very difficult. Without the appearance of 2 witnesses, the final key, the case will be difficult to solve. Friends of Edward commented on his extremely high IQ. He likes to brag your IQ in front of others and have a preference on somebody else's muscle with his IQ. But in this world, there's no such thing as high IQ crime. Because of sin, you are already mentally inferior. I believe that when Edward and Elton fell in love, they'll probably think that marriage is a good thing. We want to be together forever. But love can't be told. Once the feeling gets cold, and there's a third, then the consequences of dragging Theo are hard to imagine. Marriage is not just about sharing joy, each other's sadness, it's about care and responsibility for each other. That's true for Ilan and Lacey. Their children, you can't grow up in a healthy family anymore. That will leave a wound that never heals in their lives. Today's video ends here. I'll see you in the videos next. Hello.